Testing, testing. Let me see. Check this real quick. Testing, testing. All right, we good. We good.
Okay.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that rule well, teach well. All right, I'm the brother Arak from GMS Dallas. Got the brother Yasad with me. You know what I'm saying? And we wanted to do another sit down through the Spirit, going into Jeremiah, the 30th chapter. We will pick up where we left off in verse 9. All right, and we'll get as far as the Spirit, permit. You know what I'm saying? But this is a beautiful chapter. This is really like, how can I say this? When it comes to scriptures on the restoration of the nation, the Lord turning back our captivity, this is really, one of the go-to chapters. And then we also know that, the prophecy of Jacob's trouble is at the forefront of this chapter, which right there off the bat is a cut on certain teachers, you know what I'm saying, certain camps, all right, that preach against Jacob's trouble. All right, Jacob's trouble is the straight gate. It's the entrance that we must go through in order to make it to, salvation. So it has to happen. All right, there's no getting to the kingdom without going through Jacob's trouble. Just to make that point. But we'll pick up in verse 9. All right. Anything you wanna add, bro?
Yeah, if I may add as well, it also, when you link up the context of when Jeremiah was on the scene, when he was getting his revelation, a lot of these people, these theologians, they'll try and say, "Oh, this already came to pass." Oh, that's talking about in King David's rulership, or they'll say some BS like that. But when you actually look at the context of what happened, it's like it would be impossible. Like, how would King David, who was alive way years before Jeremiah, when did this happen? this didn't happen. Unless they would have to accept reincarnation, and also they would have to accept the fact that this is a future thing to come in the future.
Yep. Because the royal seed, like when you go into the history on that, Jeremiah lived through, obviously, Nebuchadnezzar taking Israel captive, but when you go into it, he took Israel captive. It came in waves, you know what I mean? It came in waves. So by the time, Jeremiah was into his ministry, there had already been a portion of the nobles taken into captivity. And then when you fast forward to Hezekiah, the last king of Judah, that was like the death blow. That was like the major blow, into which the temple was destroyed. You know what I mean, things of that nature. But you got it, bro. We can go ahead and get into it.
Yep, this is Jeremiah chapter 30. This is verse 9. It says, "But they shall serve Yahweh Bashem Shai their power, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them."
Right. And the Lord has begun to raise up the tabernacles of David right now in these times. And that's an important point. That's an important point because when you read the scriptures, the Lord is choosy. You know what I'm saying? I'll read this first, and then I'm gonna get a couple other scriptures. This is Psalms chapter 122, and I'm gonna read verse 1 through about verse 5. All right. It says, "A song of decrees of David." It says, "I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. Our feet shall stand within thy gates, O Jerusalem. Jerusalem is builded as a city that is compact together. All right. And when you actually look at a map, case in point, let me see. First, I'm gonna get this word compact. Let's see what this word compact says. All right. Compact, Strong's H. Um, where's the number? Strong's H 2266. It says to unite, to join, to bind together. Okay, and that's another attribute of the house of David or of David himself, because when you read about David's reign, he united the 12 tribes. All right, it's a united, reign. Okay, and that's why you have scriptures like Ezekiel 37, for example. Um, I'll read that real quick and stop me at any point, bro, if you got a point. But this is Ezekiel 37 and 15. It says the reunion of Judah and Israel. Okay, the reunion. Okay, it says the word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah, right, the southern kingdom, right, you so-called Negroes, right, uh, you know, it says, and for the children of Israel, his companions, right, which is the northern kingdom, the lost 10 tribes, so to speak, which is in today's time, you still have a rift between, darker skinned Jake, right, the southern kingdom, so called Negro, and then, northern kingdom, such as Issachar, right, Ephraim, right, the more fair complexion, Jake, you know what I'm saying? So, people can understand. All right. Um, this is verse 17. It says, and join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand. Right. And when you read down on this Ezekiel 37 too, it also mentions David later on in the chapter, right? Because again, David represents the uniting of the northern and the southern kingdom. There not being any enmity in the midst thereof, so to speak. You had anything on that?
Yeah, I got a quick precept.
Yeah, you got it, bro.
This is Hosea chapter 3, and then this is verse 5. It says, let me see what verse 4 says real quick. Here we go. Let me get Hosea chapter 3 and verse 4, and then 5. It says, for the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without a teraphim. You see, because we both got brought into captivity. That close relationship we have with the Lord, we got separated from that via through various captivities, especially this captivity now in this current time. Now we did still have the temple, we did still have judges, we did still have different situations where the Lord was still with us, still gave us prophets, but it wasn't set for us to inherit that eternal rest. It was set for us to eventually go back off and have to still be in his flesh, still be in captivity, bondage to this flesh. But it says it's a point right here, verse 5. Afterward shall the children of Israel return and seek Yahweh Shah their power, and David their king, and shall fear Yahweh Shah and his goodness in the latter days, right? Future prophecy. You see? So that, like the brothers going into, in Amos 9, it speaks about that tabernacle of David being built back up. Because when the scriptures say children of Israel, that word children goes into the sons, man. So the sons of Jacob, those patriarchs of Jacob, that's what it means by children of Israel. They're going to inherit the blessings in the future, starting with the elect, right? And the elect is also known as the house of David.
Yeah. Yep. It's like people are not looking at the scriptures like, well, when I say people, I mean, when you come up in the world, the Bible, everything is vague. Everything is super vague. You know what I mean? Like the kingdom of heaven is just like vague. It's just like a place where everybody's happy. You know what I mean? babies flying around and all that. But when you actually go into the prophecies are very specific. The prophecies are very specific about who's going to be doing what, right? Who's going to be ruling, who's not going to be ruling. And it even outlines the governing body, the regime, so to speak. Like they throw that word regime around. You know what I mean? We're referring to like the Middle East. The House of David it's a regime. It's an actual dynasty. A family, so to speak, a family line. Okay, so I'll finish this out in Psalms 122, Psalms 122 and 4. It says, "Whither the tribes go up, the tribes of the Lord, unto the testimony of Israel, to give thanks unto the name of the Lord." This is the point of verse 5. It says, "For there are set thrones of judgment, the thrones of the house of David." All right. And that links up with what Yahushua told the disciples in Matthew the 19th chapter. Y'all are going to be sitting on 12 thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay. Yahushua, okay, he was a direct descendant of King David, through Joseph. You know what I'm saying? So he was, and if I'm not mistaken, he was referred to as the son of David. When you read, let me type that in real quick and see if anything comes up.
It definitely says he came from the seed of David when it prophesied about Yahushua.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let me see real quick, bro. Yeah. Let me scroll down. My laptop, man. This thing. All right, let's go to the New Testament. Okay, I'll read this in Luke 132. It says, "He shall be great, and he shall be called the Son of the Highest." This is talking about Yahushua. It says, "And the Lord God shall give unto him the throne of his father David." Boom. All right, here's another one. It says, let me read this in Luke 18.
You didn't want these goldfish?
This is kind of like a whole other lesson within a lesson.
Oh.
Hey, that's how I be. Spirit like the wind.
But this is Luke 18, and I'm gonna get back to it. But I just want to make this point. What did it say? 39. Okay, yeah, Luke 18 and verse 39. All right, and it says, I'll start at 35. It says, "And it came to pass that as he was come nigh into Jericho, a certain blind man sat by the wayside begging, and hearing the multitude pass by, he asked what it meant. And they told him, Yahushua of Nazareth passeth by. And he cried, saying, Yahushua, thou son of David, have mercy upon thee." Okay, so there it is. You read the New Testament, and this isn't the only account. Yahushua was referred to as the son of David, which links with 2 Samuel 7, prophecy that David received about his seed, inheriting the throne. That was Solomon, but Solomon is Yahushua through the Spirit. If you can receive it, it's the same Spirit. But we could jump back.
Kind of, they also came from that same lineage, or because like you got like we're going into, you even had like the Levites. You had to prove your pedigree that you were one of the Levites when we were rebuilding the temple. So like that lineage goes all the way down. We still kept tracking it. Back then we did, at least. Now we can't track shit, but back then we were able to track it. You could be able to show the line. So that means you came from I came from the line of Aaron, or I came from the line of Korah with these Levites, and then you would be able to inherit the job that they had.
Yep.
Where verse 10?
God.
Yeah, this is Jeremiah 30 and verse 10. It says, "Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, said Yahweh Bashem Shai, neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee." Oh, you got it.
I'll just say, like, because it says neither be dismayed. When you go into that word dismayed, it means like shattered. All right. Basically meaning like stop, like don't worry. Like you shouldn't be all broken up and all dismayed about the things that we see going on the earth. Referencing David, for example, David was known for keeping his composure and demonstrating faith. Okay, case in point, David and Goliath. One of the main reasons why David was chosen by Yahweh Bashem Shah through the prophet Samuel is because of the faith that David had embedded within him. So a hallmark, for, so to speak, or an attribute that's associated with the house of David is faith, confidence, belief in Yahweh Bashem Yahushua and his reputation. You know, I just want to make that point.
Oh yeah, I got you, bro. It says, "Neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid."
Boom, there it is, right? So the scriptures, right? They talk about what's called the diaspora, all right, which is basically like the scattering, okay, of the nation of Israel all the way over to this side of the world. That's why Deuteronomy 28 says, "Thou shalt return to Egypt again on ships," okay, which is referencing the transatlantic slave trade. All right, but even before the transatlantic slave trade, you had the Northern Kingdom already over here. Okay, Second Ezra 13. And you also had Jake all throughout the four corners of the planet Earth, even during the time of the New Testament. And a matter of fact, just to go into that a little bit, I'm gonna pull this real quick in Acts 2. All right, let's get this in Acts 2. And I'm going to read verse 5 real quick. It says, "And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven." Okay. And when you read this chapter, basically there was a miracle that was a miraculous, event that happened, during Pentecost, that allowed the apostles to start speaking in different languages, all the languages that these Israelites in other lands were speaking. Okay, I'm gonna read down verse 8. I'm gonna jump down. It says, "And how hear we every man in our own tongue, wherein we were born?" Meaning what? These Israelites they weren't just on a vacation. They were born in these other lands. Okay, they were born in these other lands, and then they were making the pilgrimage back to Jerusalem, which is what we're doing through the Spirit. It says Parthians and Medes, Elamites, and dwellers in Mesopotamia, and in Judea and Cappadocia, and Pontus and Asia, Persia and Pamphylia and Egypt, and in the parts of Libya about Cyrene, and strangers of Rome's, Jews and proselytes, Cretes and Arabians. Why do we hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua? All right, and this is honestly a good, exercise. If you're, a listener tuning in, it's good to go into all those different places that it lists in verses 9, 10, because when you go into it, you have Jake coming from what's known as Europe, right? Rome, right, which is modern day Europe. You have Jake coming from Africa, right? It said Egypt, Libya, right? And then you also had Jake coming from the east, from further going east into Asia, because our land is technically Western Asia. So you have Israelites coming from all over the planet Earth, even during this time, So I just want to make that point on that.
If I may add too, bro, like
Yep.
all these are places that we were in captivity under.
Mm-hmm.
So for people who want to say the statement, "Oh no, it's not. He's not dealing with Israel no more." Those are literally all places like that Mesopotamia region. That Persia, we was in captivity there. And then you had the Greek Empire. They took over a lot of those. Like they took over damn near from like where Greece was all the way to damn near where India.
Yep.
They were over there by India. So all
Yep.
those places that was named, they had control over that. So we were in captivity under these nations. So those are all places that we were in bondage in, which basically further proves that who the Israelites are.
Yep. Con, that's it, bro. That's a great point. Great point.
We have verse 11.
Yeah. Could you
Gotcha.
read? Yeah, we could read. We could read 11.
God, it says, "For I am with thee, saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, to save thee. Though I make a full end of all nations where I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee. But I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished."
Right. So could you read that one more time?
Yep. This Jeremiah 30:11. It says, "For I am with thee, said Yahweh Shai, to save thee. Though I make a full end of the nations, whither I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end with thee."
Right. So the Lord is showing you that kind of like during the time of Egypt, even though Egypt, after the Lord plagued Egypt, after the Lord destroyed Egypt to a certain extent, and He delivered us. All right, He didn't, He didn't kill every person in Egypt. He killed the firstborn. He destroyed their economy and the ecosystem through the Nile. Right, plagued them with different insects and frogs, and right. He basically destroyed the nation, but you still had people in Egypt, right? They just were jacked up. You know what I'm saying? Um, when the Lord gets down on Babylon the Great, the Lord says, "We know Babylon the Great is going to be a desert. It's going to be a giant desert for birds and vultures, things of that nature. Babylon is going to be completely annihilated." Okay, but the other nations of the earth, they're going to be destroyed as well. Okay, their governments, their ways of life, they gonna have to be reset as well. Okay, but we still gonna need slaves. Everybody is not gonna die. Like when Jake pictured the end of the world, they just picture the planet just blowing up and exploding, right? And everybody just the dying. Nah, the scriptures talk about how the heathen are going to be our tributes, our tributaries. They're going to be subject to us. Okay, and then from Isaiah the second chapter, let me go ahead and pull that so I'm not dry talking, man. I got a couple of precepts I kind of want to pull. Um, you mind reading real quick Revelation 19 and 11 and 12, Papa Shah?
Okay, I got you.
Well, I pulled this in Isaiah.
I got you. This is you said 11 and 12.
Yeah, Papa Shah.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 19, and I'm gonna get verse 11 and verse 12. It says, "And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True."
Right, Yahweh Shah cracking the clouds in the fathership. Right, you can read 2 Ezra 13. That gives you a visual on that. The chariot is so big, you're not even gonna be able to see one end from the other. Right, so heaven open. You got it up.
"And in righteousness he doth judge and make war."
So he's coming to make war. Make war, right? The whole point of making war is to subject another nation, to destroy another nation. Just look at what's going on right now between the small hats and Iran. All right, they're making war on one another. They're actively trying to subject one another. Okay, regime change, right? Well, Yahweh Shah is getting ready to do a regime change operation on a whole entire planet Earth. And the house of David is going to be set up as that regime, as the true regime, the true government. You got it up.
Yep, verse 12. "His eyes were as the flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns."
Boom. So on his head were many crowns. Okay. So he's going to be taking rulership. That's because that's what the crowns represent. They represent rulership. That didn't say that every single inhabitant of every nation is going to be destroyed. No, we need slaves. We're going to need people to build up the infrastructure and the various things, that contribute to life going forth, righteousness going forth, etc., etc. And this is what the elect really are looking forward to. Okay, the opportunity to take part in this government, to be leaders. All right, within this new system that Yahweh Shai is getting ready to set up. Like these are things that we weren't taught growing up, like city planning. You know what I'm saying? Learning how the ecosystem really operates and how to make it the most efficient and productive. How to social engineering. That's another term that you'll see thrown around. That's really that's the elect were set up to be doing all that. Not you freaking Edomites and not you weirdo heathens that like that or Esau's little lapdogs, man. But Salakia,
No,
that
that's
was
all
all I
good.
want on that.
Kind of, if I may add as well, it said, or the end of the bottom part of this verse says, he had a name written that no man knew, but he himself. You see, because when you go into a name, it also can mean power, rank, or authority. And when you jump right here down to verse 16, it says, and he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings, Lord of Lords. That's what a lot of men that were in battle, they would have their rank put on their thigh. Like they had that little thing on the bottom of the garment to show. Like, oh, I'm captain of here. But it said King of Kings, Lord of Lords, because nobody's gonna be as powerful as Yahweh Shai.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna subject them all the other powers, like the brothers went into.
Yep. Yep. I'll read this as well, just to go into that too. I was gonna read Isaiah 2. Oh no, I can read Isaiah 2. Yeah, I'll read Isaiah 2. But Micah 4 kind of goes into the same thing, um, showing you that multiple prophets had the same vision. Okay.
Oh yeah.
But this is Isaiah chapter 2, and I'll read verse 1 through 3. I kind of want to read 4 too. I'll read 4 too. It says, the word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. It says, and it shall come to pass in the last days, we're in the last days right now. It says that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. All right, we know mountains represent governments, okay? And hills represent, lesser uh, governments, smaller, you know, like you have, you have like the Supreme Court, and then you have like the local, court, common, you know what I mean? The smaller little trials and print whatever, you know what I mean? There's levels, it says all nations are going to flow unto it. All right. So there it is. Like we're reading in Jeremiah, the Lord's not going to make a full end of us, but he's going to make a full end of the nations. Okay. Meaning what? That they're going to have to come under our authority, you know. Verse 3, it says, and people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up into the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Boom. So there it is. That's the order. And when you read the header of this chapter, it says God's universal reign. All right. So Yahweh Shem Yahushai's universal reign. Okay, it's getting ready to be set up through the house of David on the planet Earth. But that's all I had on that. We could jump back.
God, that's how you know they ain't the people, because they got the land, they got control over parts of the land, but not the whole land, and it's not righteous going forth out of the little small part they do have control over. I'm alluding to the little hats, those Amalekites, because according to the prophecy, we're gonna be forward in righteousness in a holy land.
Yep.
This is verse 12 though for you. This is Jeremiah 30 and 12. For thus saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous.
Mm-hmm. That's going into 2/3. And really that wound ultimately is going to be the C-hip, the jab, or not the jab, but the C-hip, the implant, you know what I'm saying, the charagma. That's what's really incurable. You know what I'm saying? That's what's grievous, which if you take the C-hip, that just shows that you gone. You're gone. You know what I'm saying? It's like a stamp. It's certified. You're not gonna get right. So we already know 2/3 of our people. We know most of our people are gonna get destroyed here on this side. All right. That's why, the scriptures say the world that to come is for few. I want to say that's in the second Ezra's.
The 8th chapter.
Yep. But you got it, bro.
I may add to you as well. This basically in the wilderness part two. And then majority of our people they died in the wilderness. That's getting ready to happen again.
Yeah.
Most Jake, they're not meant to inherit the kingdom the first go round. It's gonna be that small remnant, the house of David. This is the next verse 13. There is none to plead thy cause, that thou mayest be bound up. Thou hast no healing medicines.
Right. You Jake, you niggas over here, man. Nobody gives a damn about you. All right. And a matter of fact, most Esau and all these other nations view you as the main problem here in America. You're viewed as a damn stain. All right. And that's why there's such a thing as black fatigue. You know, is what they call it.
Oh yeah.
Right? Ain't nobody interested in dealing with you niggas. Ain't nobody interested in helping you Negroes. All right. The only the only relief you gonna get is really through the prophets, through the men of the Lord that Yahweh Bashem Yahushua set up. Right? Scriptures talk about how the Lord would arise with healing in his wings. Okay, where do you think that what healing is coming from? That healing is coming from the word. All right, the Wakakwadash, the comforter. Okay, but because you people, refuse to hearken, you ain't gonna get healed. You're going to continue to suffer, and you're gonna wax worse.
Out of quick brief.
You got it, brother.
This is Jeremiah 15. I'm gonna get verse 5 and 6. And this is we go into the context. This is back in when we were getting ready to go into the Babylonian captivity. However, it's still the same thing stands. Majority of our people wanted to go back to Egypt. They wanted to basically weren't aligned with the will of the Lord. So the Lord was like, okay, you don't want to listen to the prophets? I got something for you. This is Jeremiah 15 and 5 and 6. For who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem? Or who shall mourn thee? Or who shall go aside to ask how thou doest? Is the point. Thou hast forsaken me, saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Thou art gone backward. Therefore will I stretch out mine hand against thee and destroy thee. I am weary with repenting. So Lord basically had in the spirit of like, okay, now F that. Grace is over. I'm bringing judgment. That's what's getting ready to happen. Like we're reading about in Jeremiah 30. You didn't want to take heed in the grace period. The Lord's gonna have that judgment come. The prophets were sent here as the Lord reaching out his hand for mercy.
Yep. You got Negroes on the internet right now with everything that's going on with Trump clearly Nero 47, right? With him clearly showing you that the political game is bullshit, is WWE. He got in, he ran on the idea of bringing peace and not doing what he's about to do, not doing what he's doing right now, right? And you still got Negroes on the internet talking about the midterms, all right, talking about the Democratic Party is about to come back and we're gonna do this. It's like, bro, that scripture says there's none to plead thy cause. You're not gonna be. This system is not going to deliver you, Negroes, man. But again, Jake is not going to get it through the hard head ass, man. They're not going to get it. Here it is. The Lord has set up, that we just started off in the lesson. The Lord has already set up your government. Your government is being set up right in front of your face, in the form of the prophets. But again, like what happened in Egypt, because the brother had made that point. When you read Exodus 14 and Moses is delivering them, all right, as soon as they hit a situation that they didn't think they could get out of, they wanted to go back to Egypt. All right, they wanted the leaks. They wanted go back to Egypt, bro. So, hey, y'all ain't gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it.
You ready for verse 14?
Yeah, you got it, brother.
This Jeremiah 30 and 14, it says, all thy lovers have forgotten thee. They seek thee not. For I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one. For the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased.
I'm gonna read this real quick. You got a point? You gonna make a point on that?
No, you good.
Okay. This is Isaiah 30 and 30. 30:1 and then 30:2, it says, "Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin." All right, going into basically Jake in the world. All right, the mentality, that worldly Babylonian American mentality. All right, believing in the things of this world, the ideas and philosophies of America. Right. It says that walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Okay. Verse 3 is the point. It says, "Therefore shall the strength of Egypt of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion." Okay, so that's not going to work for you. You're only going to confuse yourself even more. All right, taking shelter in Esau, Edom, and these things that he's created. Case in point, you got AI now, right? You got the internet that's been out, but you got AI now, in which is where you basically get all your information, right? You get all your media, right? Well, guess what? The algorithm, you don't know who, we don't know, we don't know who's controlling. Like, the algorithm is really set up to confuse your ass even more. You have all this information on the internet, right? But more information just doesn't mean that you know shit. You know, more information really is just more confusion if you don't have the ability to actually line it up and make it make sense. You know, which is what the prophets have. We have the word, we have the image. Okay, you people, y'all are only going to be more and more lost. All right, so going to Egypt, going leaning on this place is not gonna profit you anything. But you got it, bro. We go back.
Kai, this is back in Jeremiah 30, where verse 15 it says, "Why criest thou for thine affliction? Thy sorrow is incurable for the multitude of thine iniquity.
Hmm.
Because thy sins were increased, I have done these things unto thee."
Yeah, and a matter of fact, can we read verse 14 again? I want to add a point
Gotcha.
onto that.
Yep, this Jeremiah 30 and 14. It says, "All thy lovers have forgotten thee.
Hmm.
They seek thee not."
Right, that's going into the other nations. Okay, um, because we know Babylon the Great, America is known as what? A melting pot. Okay, so you have all these other nations here. Um, you have Israelites, you have Jake that might have, they think that these heathen actually give a damn. They in that we are the world, we're all human, we're all the human family spirit. You know what I'm saying? That's that, but that's not the case. They don't give a damn about you. That's why it says they seek thee not. All right. When shit really gets tight, like it speaks about, I want to say in Isaiah, I want to say maybe it's 13. Everybody is gonna, birds of a feather flock together. Okay. So when everything really gets tight, everybody's gonna be clicking up. Everybody's gonna be clicking up, and like the Elder Ariala said, you're gonna find out that you just a monkey in a BMW. You know what I'm saying? Let me see real quick, man.
And then what is this system known as? The beast system. So these people they finna get real, because when you go into that word beast, taking worshiping the image of the beast, I believe it's Revelation 13, it describes as being like a bestial man, a lawless person. And we're finna see how lawless everybody is whenever stuff gets tight out here. Scripture say,
Yep,
"Love many shall wax cold, because iniquity shall abound." So it ain't
yep,
finna be no love out here. Everybody finna be going crazy, just straight survival mode, like the purge.
yep, yeah. These niggas, you think that the nigga at your job, all right, who you've been working with for a couple years, who y'all got a real good rapport, you think that nigga's gonna give a damn about you when ain't no food out here?
Shit, man, niggas was killing each other over a fucking chicken sandwich. A fucking chicken sandwich. When Popeyes came with that chicken sandwich, niggas was killing each other over a damn chicken sandwich.
Good lord, man.
Niggas was fighting this shit over toilet paper during the
Yep,
2020.
yep.
So
That was
like
a
that's
sign.
that's light.
That was a
That's light.
token, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Imagine when these shelves, the Lord has shown us, the Lord is merciful. The Lord has shown signs like when, like, you know, these particular situations happen and the shelves is empty, niggas is in there fighting over toilet paper and shit. You know, what you think is going to happen when the real deal Holyfield goes down? And it's going down right now. This situation with the Strait of Hormuz is going to impact the global economy heavily. Heavily, man. You got a third of the world's fertilizer that comes through the Strait of Hormuz, right? You got a major chunk of the energy, the world global energy supply that comes from through that strait, right? But we know there's a delay, like when things happen like that impact the global supply chain. There's a delay in when it hits, like when you can really start to see it. So right now we're in that delay, you know, where things still seem semi kind of normal right now. But guess what? Fast forward a few months, we're gonna see what it's looking like, man. You know, like the brother said, the love of many shall wax cold. But you got it. We can jump back.
God, this is Jeremiah 30, and we're at verse we finished off 14.
Yeah, we'll go to like 17.
God, I think we're at 16. We can get 16.
Well, we were at 16 already.
Yeah, we had 16.
Oh, okay, you got it.
This Jeremiah 30 and 16, it says, "Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and
Mhm.
all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity."
Boom. So that's the Lord. That's the Lord flipping the script. Okay, the Lord is getting ready to flip the script on you people. All right. The way you're living your life right now, all right, how you're in a position of privilege, all right, you're in a position of, you know, being able to, you know, do whatever you want, eat whatever you want, look down on so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. That time is coming to an end. That time is coming to an end because Esau is coming to his end. All right. And even lower level Edomites, like niggas is losing. Edomites is losing. All right. And these heathen are that have joined hand in hand with them, y'all are losing too. Okay. I'm gonna get this real quick in Baruch 4. This is Baruch 4 and 30. It says, "Take a good heart, O Jerusalem, for he that gave thee that name will comfort thee. Miserable," and the Lord is comforting us now through the Rakakudash, through the Holy Spirit. It says, verse 31, "Miserable are they that afflicted thee and rejoiced at thy fall. Miserable are the cities which thy children served. Miserable is she that received thy sons." Right? Because all you heathen, all you you know, all you people outside of the circle, okay, y'all drunk the wine of the wrath of fornication, which is going into basically Esau's philosophies, his ideologies and philosophies. Okay, and ideologies and philosophies are what make a system. It's what makes the image. You know what I mean? It's what drive like it's an idea. It starts with an idea. Okay, a way of thinking, a way of life, and that leads to a civilization. So y'all bought into this bullshit. Okay, y'all bought into science and do as thou wilt, right? The destruction of, you know, gender roles and, you know, biblical, so-called biblical principles. You bought into this madness, and guess what? Y'all are miserable. Y'all are suffering. Your populations are bugged out and dying of various, you know, diseases, and homoality is exploding, right? Like you got China, for example, right? Their population is all the way jacked up, you know, because of the various policies and things that they've implemented trying to please Esau, right? They don't even have, you know, enough men, or you know what I'm saying? Their populations are severely jacked up, and this situation right now, the famine, the pestilence, the World War III that the Lord has prepared, that's why so many people are getting ready to die. you know, because you other nations are already at a vulnerable point. You know, everybody's sick, everybody's miserable, everybody's a debt slave. All right, so y'all are already y'all already, you know, maimed, so to speak. Okay, I'm gonna keep reading on this. So, Baruch 4:33. It says, "For as she rejoiced at thy ruin, and was glad of thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. For I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning." Okay, so you people are getting ready to take a L, man. Major L. And we ain't gonna be sad about it either. We're gonna be praising the Lord. We're gonna be calling on the names of Yahweh Shemel Shah. Because you niggas, y'all deserve everything y'all gonna get. You know? But if you don't have, you got anything up?
No, basically we just read it mirrors Obadiah the first chapter as well. Day of the Lord is upon all the heathen. Because ain't gonna be these heathens, they're gonna be subjects, but they still gonna have to pay for what they did. Because they all like it's basically just like if you commit a crime and you was there, like if you was an escape driver, if you had a factor to do with that crime, your ass gotta get convicted too. So all these nations played a factor in us being down. They helped Esau put all these wicked ass things inside of particular neighborhoods. Because look who's on the liquor stores. A lot always a heathen. Look who's working in them damn clinics. Straight heathens a lot of times. Those ABORT clinics, heathens. You see, so on and so forth. Who's selling a lot of these unclean foods, profiting off of these Israelites in these ghettos, a lot of these nations, and who also had us in captivity at different time periods. A lot of these nations did, mainly Esau, but these other nations as well. So they got to get judged for it. And it's all business because like the Lord has said it where okay, I'm whoop Israel's ass, but now it's time for y'all to get y'all ass whooped.
Mm-hmm.
It's fair.
Yep, 100%. Justice, Psalms 89. Justice and judgment is the habitation of my throne. You know, we serve a perfectly balanced power. You know, and so everything that's coming to you people is you deserve it. And we got jacked up. look at what the Lord did to us. You know what I'm saying? But
And
this
it's
is
our
Revelation.
inheritance. Yeah, that's like we inherited. They all are supposed to be part of like that. You know, these Christians love talking about the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God. They say all that bullshit, but what does the kingdom even mean? Do you even know what the word means? It means a king's domain, and also when you go into actual definition, it means the sovereign power, royal domain. So, who are you going to rule over? A part of you have inherited the kingdom is getting these nations in subjection. That's why so many prophecies about that, like Revelation 2. You know, Psalms 149 or 147. I think it's on 149 where it says, "Bind their kings with fetters of iron." That's that honor have ye his saints. That's set because that's what's part of the kingdom is placing all these nations in subjection and making them delegate everything we're delegating everything to the Lord by subjecting these nations.
Yep.
That's a part of the kingdom, bro.
Yep. I got something real quick. This is Revelation 13:10. It says, "He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity." All right. Now we know Esau is going into captivity, obviously. But you other nations have also played a part in leading our people into captivity. Like the brother just made those beautiful points. Who are the people at these stores and who's helping facilitate this captivity? It's the heathen. Okay. Ishmael. That's part of the reason why the Lord is jacking up Ishmael so bad over there in the Middle East, using Esau, because y'all were the ones who helped facilitate the transatlantic slave trade, amongst other slave trades. The sub-Saharan, you have other slave trades. You know, y'all are known for selling niggas into captivity when you go into the history. So why do you think that's why the Lord is fucking you niggas up, man? Excuse my language. You know, and again, we praising the Lord because you people know Ishmael knows we the people. They know we the Israelites. You know, but anyways, let me finish this out. It says, "He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, and he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints." Right. So that's why the Lord has got the spirit on the men of the Lord and the elect just to be still and to preach the word, because we know that when the Lord gives the green light, when the Lord, when the time comes, retribution will be had, recompense will be had on a physical level, But until then, all right, we're harmless as we harmless. You know what I'm saying? What the scriptures say, wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove.
Oh yeah.
But we can finish it out in Jeremiah. I'm gonna close it. I'm gonna close it at 17.
God. This is Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 17. It says, "For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds," said Yahweh Bashem Shai. Because they call,
So like I didn't mean to cut you off. You can finish it, brother. So,
okay, yeah, I'll make sure. It says, "Because they called thee an outcast, saying, This is Zion, whom no man seeketh after."
Right. So that shows you the Israelites in the latter days will be considered basically a no people, black, because that's what a black person is. A black person is a no people, so it's nothing. All right, it's a fucking color, man. All right, so the Lord, He's restored health unto us, and He's healed us through this word. All right, through the word going out. All right, the Rakakwadash, those dry bones. All right, have come back together and been revived. All right, so that's where we're at, man. That's pretty much all I had. I don't have anything to close with. You got anything?
Hey, spirit had to be done. But yeah, that's a position we've been brought into. We're brought into a position where we have no other way but up. Through that chariot, we need Yahweh to deliver us. Because this chapter goes into that jacked up state that we'll be in. Because that's where salvation comes when we in a tribulation or a jacked up position. That's why you have precepts like Revelation 21, where it describes how there shall be no more death, no more tears. Right? That's what Yahweh is coming to do. He's coming to fix us out of this jacked up situation that we're in.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hey, I think the point has been made. Lord willing, next weekend or next Friday we can finish up verses 18 through 24. So, the Lord's willing, this lesson was edifying to you, brothers and sisters that tune in. That want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Makakwadash. Double honors again to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us this truth. All right, and shalom to the next lesson.
Shalom.